Hey guys, here we are for a short track guide in the NASCAR Next Gen car at Pocono Raceway. For this track guide, I'm going to show you the hot lap first, and then I'm going to break down the lap in slow motion and show my approach to each corner. And before I get to the track guide, I just want to show you the settings that we're using for the lap. We have a track temp of 114 degrees, an air temp of 78 degrees, and track usage of 39%. Also, we're using the baseline Pocono setup with the steering pinion of 2.36 and a brake bias of 56%. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so now let's review that lap in slow motion. So as we're starting the lap, you could typically start a bit wider than this to get a nice exit out of the final corner, but we're just taking a typical line to start our lap. So we're going to be starting the lap around 2 to 3 miles per hour slower than normal. So crossing the finish line, we're getting around 173, I believe. You could typically get around 175 on a really nice exit. So again, coming to turn one here, long straight, you're just going to be looking up on the right-hand side for some braking references. You have a bunch of cones on the fence. You have the 3 cone and the 2 cone and the 1 cone, and we're going to be waiting till the very end. And we're going to be looking at the 1 cone and basically a car length after the 1 cone or right at it. We're getting out of the gas and tapping the brakes. We're not turning in immediately though. So around 50% brake bias, and the main focus here is the line that we're taking through the corner. You can see that through these seams, we're going to be entering in the 3rd seam here, this 3rd lane, and then we're going to be going into the 2nd lane, and then eventually into the 1st. However, it's really important about the timing of that. A nice reference point is this little dash right here, which you can see in a chase view a bit more easily right there, as we're going past the dash. And I would say the goal is by the time you get to the dash, you should be in this 1st lane, but just in the 1st lane. So you can see at the point that we're in the 1st lane initially is right around here, and the dash is over there, so we should have gone to the inside line a little bit later than we did. So we kind of early apexed a little bit, and that kind of hurt our exit here. So again, getting just into the 1st lane by the dash, and then getting down to the yellow line, you can see partial throttle just to be able to maintain this line. And then once again, using this dash as a nice reference, the 2nd dash over here, that can be used to tell when to get back to full throttle. So again, we're back to full throttle before we get there. And again, that kind of causes some understeer on exit. If we get back to full throttle a little bit later, it would have been a little bit better of an exit, but you can see that we have to tighten up our steering wheel just on exit to avoid hitting the wall through here, and then we have to unwind the wheel quite fast as we get out of the exit. So that kind of hurt our rundown, but it's just those small marks that are kind of useful to tell. So out of turn one, just trying to get a nice exit and getting back to full throttle by the time you reach that 2nd dash in the corner. So you can see we're coming down to turn two. You got the cones next to the fence, the 3, 2, and the 1 cone. And we're not using any of those cones. We're actually using the Pocono bit on the wall. As soon as we pass the Pocono bit, that's when we're going to be getting on the brakes. So again, a lot less brake than turn one, only around 20% instead of 50%. And now we have 2 references for our apex here. So first of all, we have the change in the tarmac from like the light asphalt to the dark. And then we also have this angle in the apron. So you can see it's not as tight here, and then it tightens up. So I'd say the goal is to apex right at the point where that change occurs. So right there, and trying to get almost below the apron if possible. And you can see that we're trailing off the brake all the way up to that point, trailing around 20%, and then trailing just about 0. And by the time we reach the apex, that's right when we get back on the gas. So right in that area where the apron changes. So again, partial throttle for part of it, and then back to full throttle, trying to use up all the track. The car is really easy to understeer and almost get into the wall here. And then approaching turn 3, the flattest of the corners, and it's just really easy to understeer on exit here. And again, using these cones as references, braking a bit past it, and I'm almost using this wall. Obviously, it depends on your field of view, but as that wall disappears out of my left-hand side, right around there, that's when I'm going to start turning and start to brake a lot later into the corner. So it's almost more of a turning in point than a braking reference. But again, holding around 20% brake pressure, trying to just get to this inside line. And once again, we can use a dash to determine where to get back on throttle. So trailing off, by the time I get back to this dash right there, that's how we know to get back onto full throttle. So you can see we get back to full throttle a little bit earlier than the dash, and again, that kind of causes a bit of understeer on exit. Back to cockpit view, you can see the wheel input, and we do have a bit of extra room on here, but it could definitely throughout the race, the car is going to get a little more understeer. So using that dash as a reference will be quite useful. So in the end, that is 54.259, and definitely for the better exit out of the final corner to start the lap, you could probably get a high 1 or a low 2, but hopefully that track guide was helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching, and see you next time.